Clapperboard opening scene, emotional hook. The school hallway echoed with laughter, not the good kind, but the cruel kind that makes your stomach twist. A group of teenage boys circled around a young woman, their jeers sharp and humiliating. "What's the matter, Miss Parker? Gonna cry on your first day?" One sneered. She held her ground, but the tension in her jaw showed the effort it took. Just then, a deep, commanding voice cut through the noise, the kind of voice that made everyone freeze. "Hey, step away from her." Every head turned. At the end of the hall stood a tall, broad-shouldered man in a worn leather jacket, a man who had seen real battles. His name was Jake Miller, a single dad and retired Army veteran. He had come to pick up his 10-year-old son, Ethan, who had forgotten his lunch. But what he walked into that day would change everything. If you're watching this, stay till the end. This story will remind you why courage and kindness still matter in a world that often forgets both. And if you believe heroes don't always wear uniforms anymore, you might change your mind by the last scene. So make sure to hit like, subscribe, and share this story, because someone out there needs this message today. Movie camera scene 2, The Stand. Jake's boots echoed as he walked closer, his eyes locked on the bullies. The students hesitated, recognizing him, the military dad from PTA meetings, the guy who once helped the school security fix their generator during a storm. He wasn't just strong, he had a quiet authority that made people listen. "Didn't your parents teach you respect?" Jake said evenly. "You think picking on a teacher makes you tough? Try doing the right thing when no one's watching, that's tough." The ringleader tried to laugh it off. "Relax, old man, we're just messing around." Jake took a step forward. "Bullying isn't messing around. It ruins people. You have two choices, apologize and walk away, or stay here and regret it." The boys mumbled apologies and scattered. Miss Parker exhaled, visibly shaken but composed. "Thank you," she said softly, adjusting her glasses. "You didn't have to do that." Jake gave a small nod. "I don't stand by when I see wrong. Especially not in front of my son." She smiled faintly. "You've raised him right, then." He smiled back, but there was something in her eyes, something calm and confident, that made him wonder if she wasn't as fragile as she seemed. Film frame scene 3, A Second Encounter. Days passed. Jake started noticing Miss Parker more, not because she was beautiful though she was, but because she had this unshakable grace. She taught literature, but her classroom radiated peace. Kids who once mocked her now respected her. One afternoon, after picking up Ethan, Jake noticed commotion in the parking lot. The same bullies, and a few older boys, had cornered Miss Parker again. This time, Jake sprinted forward, ready to protect her. But before he reached her, something unexpected happened. In a blink, Miss Parker twisted, grabbed one boy's wrist, flipped him to the ground, and blocked another's punch with lightning precision. The entire group stumbled back as she dropped into a perfect karate stance. The bullies froze, and Jake did too. "What the?" he muttered, eyes wide. She looked over her shoulder, calm as ever. "Appreciate the backup, Mr. Miller, but I think I've got this." Clapperboard scene 4, Respect Earned. Within seconds, the confrontation was over. The boys limped away, more humiliated by their fear than by any hit she'd landed. Jake stood there, jaw slightly open, watching as Miss Parker brushed off her sleeve and smiled. "Black belt," she said casually. "Didn't think I'd need it on my first week here." Jake chuckled, shaking his head. "You could have warned me. I almost tried to play hero." "You already are one," she replied softly. "Ethan talks about you all the time, how you taught him to never give up, how you make pancakes shaped like tanks." Jake blinked, touched. "He really said that?" She nodded. "You're raising a good kid. That's no small thing." Something in that moment, her warmth, her quiet strength, hit him deeper than he expected. Maybe it was because he'd been alone for so long, hiding behind discipline and duty. Maybe it was because, for the first time in years, he'd met someone who could hold her own beside him. Movie camera scene 5, The Bond Grows. Over the following weeks, they talked more, at school events, at the coffee shop near the base, during weekend volunteer drives. She shared stories about teaching self-defense to girls in shelters. He shared stories of soldiers who'd taught him about faith and resilience. Ethan adored her, too. She helped him with his reading, cheered him at soccer games, and even taught him a few karate moves. Jake saw his son's confidence grow, and realized it was partly because of her influence. But life, as always, threw a test. Film frames Scene 6, The Challenge. One morning, rumors spread that the Bullies' parents were blaming Miss Parker for hurting their kids. The school board was calling for her suspension. Jake was furious. She defended herself. Those kids needed discipline, not excuses. But the system didn't always side with the truth. Miss Parker faced the meeting alone, calm but heartbroken. Jake couldn't let that happen. He showed up, in uniform, medals and all, and stood by her side in front of the board. "You want to punish someone," he said, voice steady but fierce, "punish me. I raised my son to respect people like her, people who protect, teach, and inspire. If you take her down for standing up to bullies, what lesson are you teaching our kids?" The room went silent. The superintendent finally spoke. "Mr. Miller, you're right." Miss Parker kept her job. And when she turned to Jake afterward, tears of gratitude shimmered in her eyes. Clapperboard final scene, the message. Months later, Jake stood in the same hallway where it all began. Only this time, it wasn't filled with laughter or cruelty, it was filled with students clapping as Miss Parker received the Teacher of the Year award. Ethan cheered the loudest. Jake looked at her, pride swelling in his chest. She caught his eye and mouthed, "Thank you." He smiled back. "No," he whispered. "Thank you." As the screen fades, a narrator's voice or on-screen text appears. Greater than, sometimes heroes don't wear capes or uniforms. Sometimes they teach, they protect, they heal, quietly. And sometimes, they find each other. Headphone, soft piano music fades. Speech balloon. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it. Because the world needs more people who stand up for what's right, and believe in the power of kindness.